What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be taking you through the best way to build your rear delt, as for 99% of people it's a very undeveloped muscle and doesn't get trained properly. The rear deltoid, known as the posterior deltoid, is part of three heads in the shoulder. So you have your anterior shoulder, you have your lateral shoulder, and then you have your rear deltoid, also known as your posterior shoulder. And this is this small muscle here we're going to be focusing on today. It's the smallest muscle in the shoulder, so it's the hardest part to build, and a lot of people end up neglecting it and working their lateral and their front a lot more in the first few years of training. This leads to uneven shoulders and a lot of rounding on the shoulders as well, which leads to really bad posture as the top of your spine starts to curve. So I'm going to be taking you through the best exercises today and how to do them properly in order to build a big rear delt which will retract your shoulder blades back, giving you a good posture and all-rounded even shoulder. Alright, so I've picked out the best 3 possible exercises in order to build your rear delts as long as they're executed properly. So for the first exercise, I've chosen to do face pulls using the bar attachment instead of the rope attachment. This is because with the rope attachment, people tend to overextend, and that's when your upper traps and back is going to start coming into play rather than your rear delts. So with the bar, you want to be pulling it into eye level and stopping at 90 degrees, contracting your rear delts and going back up. I believe in order to grow your rear delts as much as you can, you need to be going high volume, as this is when my rear delts have responded the most over the last few months of doing high reps. So you want to be going for at least 20 reps on this exercise. As you can see in the clip, this is the wrong way to execute the movement. I'm way overextending and pulling it too far into my chest and retracting my whole back together. This means that my upper traps and back are taking over from my rear delts, and the rear delt alone will not be isolated. This is going to stop as much activation and you won't get as much growth in your rear delts from this exercise. Okay, for the next exercise we're going to be doing single cable rear delt flies, and this is going to help bring up any imbalances in your rear delts and make sure they're nice and even. So make sure you're getting even reps on both sets. So like the same with the face pulls, you want to be making sure you're only extending up to 90 degrees. It's a very small movement to where your rear delt contracts instead of your whole upper back. So as you can see, I'm not going all the way down, just enough so I can feel the stretch, and then come back up and contract the rear delt without bringing my whole back together and contracting. So to make sure the rear delt's nice and isolated, make sure the range of motion is nice and small, yet you can still feel your rear delt contracting like you can see in the video. The best thing about this exercise is because it's on a cable, there's going to be resistance on both parts of the movement. So this is going to help tear down a lot more muscle fibers and make sure the muscle grows. So once again in the next clip you can see that I'm doing this exercise wrong by overextending. This is the biggest problem when people try to train their rear delts. They way overextend, and once again, as you can see, my upper back and traps is taken over from my rear delts, and my rear delt isn't getting isolated alone. The problem with overextending on all these rear delt exercises is that it loses tension at the top of the movement. So your upper back and other muscles are going to take over and the rear delt's going to lose tension. When you keep in a short range of motion, your rear delt is under constant tension and a lot more likely to break down muscle tissue and build more muscle. So for the last exercise, we're going to be doing rear delt dumbbell flies. And personally, I think when this exercise is done correctly, this is the best exercise in order to isolate and grow your rear delts. So you want to set yourself up on an incline bench that when you lie on it and extend your arms downwards, they're not going to touch the floor. You then want to grab your weight and push your hands towards the ground as far as you can and round your shoulders round. You then want to extend up to the side with completely straight arms until the point that your rear delt contracts, but not that your upper back contracts. You want to lower back down, but not all the way, and then keep in this short range of motion so you've got constant tension on your rear delt. You don't want to be going up too far or going down too low, as this is going to take off tension from your rear delts. So with this exercise, you only want to be using a really light weight. Personally, I'm using 4 kg in this exercise, as if you go too heavy, other muscles are going to start to take over that are more dominant, as they will be able to handle a higher weight, which the rear delts can. So make sure you're using a nice low weight and going high reps again, like I said before, going over 20 reps until you feel the burn and really start to contract and burn out your rear delts.
Once again, as you can see here, this is how you shouldn't execute that exercise, and how I bet you've seen a lot of people do this exercise in the gym because either they're using too heavy of a weight or they're not sure how to contract their rear delts properly. So as you can see, my chest is coming off the bench and my back is taken over instead of the rear delts, and they're not under constant tension. So this is not the way you should be doing it in the gym. You need to be doing it nice and controlled. Personally, I would choose 2 of these exercises to do per session and try and complete it at least 2 to 3 times a week in order to bring up this lagging body part and give you a nice all-rounded shoulder, as rear delts react best to a high frequency, high volume loads. Alright guys, so that brings an end to the video. I really hope you enjoyed it and have learned something from this and now know how to contract your rear delt and execute the exercises properly, and I hope you make some really good progress using these exercises. So make sure you let me know down in the comments, like the video if you enjoyed it, and please be sure to subscribe as I got a lot more coming soon.